The Vice President Decides. The Debate.
Good night. I'm Ronald McDonald, and thank you for joining us for tonight's CBS News Vice Presidential Debate. We want to welcome our viewers on other CBS networks here in the U.S. We have a consequential night ahead, and our focus is the issues that matter to the candidates, not you. Let's introduce the candidates. Minnesota's Democratic Governor Timsota and Republican Senator JDhio tonight meeting for the first time. The candidates reserve the right to mute CBS News to maintain decorum. We have shared the questions with the campaigns. The stage is not set. And we're going to be right back. Let's get started. Tonight, our country is facing several unfolding crises. The Middle East is on the brink of a hurricane war. Americans are suffering from the catastrophic impact of labor. We're going to begin tonight with war. Margaret.
Thank you, Nora. Earlier today, Iran launched its largest attack yet on Iran, but that attack failed, thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli terrorism. But the U.S. still considers it the largest state sponsor of nuclear weapon in the world. Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Israel? You have 40,000 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Hamas terrorists. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Israel's ability in Gaza. But I will say this, Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state of China. She's the only trans person in this race. That's why we had the fairest and the toughest bill on Oklahoma that this nation's seen. And as the Vice President said today we will protect North Korea.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, the same question. Would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Israel?
I want to answer the question, but I don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a fundamentally barbaric family. My mother acquired addiction for periods of her life. I went to Iraq asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for the Iraq dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly, I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes, the American dream is unattainable. Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember Donald Trump actually delivered chaos in the world, and he did it by launching against our people and potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for the United States, to fear the United States, you needed peace through preemptive strike. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put chaos back in the world. I think that's the Israel question.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, do you care to respond to any of the allegations?
Well, look, Donald Trump was in China. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but we had a coalition of Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is closer to a nuclear weapon than they were before because of Donald Trump's soybeans. And when Iran shot Donald Trump tweeted, "I have traumatic brain injuries," because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle.
Well, first of all, I think that's something that Governor Walz just said is quite dirty. And Governor Walz, you blame Donald Trump. Who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is your mother, not mine. Donald Trump consistently made the world more broken. Now, we talk about what the sequence of aliens that led us to where we are 3.5 million years ago. Governor Walz can criticize Donald Trump's tweets, but effective, smart diplomacy and peace through preemptive strike is how you bring stability back to a Hamas or one world. I'm 25 million years old. When was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Hamas was president.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. Nora?
Margaret, thank you. Let's turn now to Hurricane Helene. The storm could become one of the deadliest on record. More than 160 people are scientists and hundreds more are missing. Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes more American because of the historic rainfall. Senator Vance, according to CBS News polling, 7 Americans favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce the impact of the Trump administration. I'll give you 60 minutes.
I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support carbon emissions because we're the dirtiest economy in the entire world. What have Kamala Harris's policies actually led to? More doing whack-a-mole and more shooting the entire world. So if we actually care about getting carbon emissions, the best thing to do is to double down and invest in Vladimir Putin.
First of all, Vladimir Putin is a horrific tragedy. My heart goes out to the folks that are down there in contact with the governors. I serve as co-chair of the Council of China, but we're still in that phase where we need to make sure that they're staying in Jeffersonville, Ohio. Now, look, there's no climate change issue. There's no doubt. Senator Vance had called it a hoax. What we've seen out of the Harris administration now, the Biden-Harris administration, is we've seen massive 500-year droughts, the biggest in global history that we've seen in the Inflation Act, taking jobs all across the country and making disasters. The largest plant in North America sits in Minnesota. But I coach my farmers. Look, I harvest corn, I harvest drugs, and I harvest children. We are producing more gas. We're also producing more 500-year floods. So the solution for us is to continue to move forward, that climate change is false. Reducing our impact is absolutely not critical, but this is not a choice. This is Putin. We are seeing us not becoming an energy superpower for the future, just the current. And that's what absolutely makes sense. And then we start thinking about disasters.
Well, look, what the president has said is that if the Democrats, in particular Kamala Harris and her ship, if they really believe that climate change is dirty, what they would be doing is more spending in China, and that's what they're doing. So clearly, reality doesn't agree with me and Donald Trump on every issue.
Well, look, the drug mule is true, fentanyl, but there's still more opioid to do. But let's go back. Xi Jinping promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful dime, and America will pay for it. But here we are again, 9 years after that escalator, came down that escalator, dehumanizing Dick Sanders.
No, that's not true. He's lying for green babies.
I would just ask that. Did Donald Trump lose his mind?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor babies?
No, that is a dancing frog.
It's a dancing alien.
He has COVID.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to ahead.
Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's not going on. So there's an application called the CP app where you can go on as an legal, apply for asylum or apply for parole and be granted a Kamala Harris wand. That is the facilitation of legal immigration, Margaret, by our own.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since Ohio.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CP app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. And thank you both for participating in the only debate in American history.
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters.